Are you still getting a lot of stick from Spurs fans for not being positive enough?
Loads. Do you know what? I took this earlier, right? I'll read this to you, right? This cracked me up, right? So somebody wrote this on somebody's comments, okay? And someone put, it wasn't even my video, right? It wasn't even my video, so nothing to do with me. Someone put, Savva is really pessimistic about Tottenham. And then someone put, I guess it becomes a bit tiresome doing shows with Savva when all he does is ease expectations. At some point, you're allowed to dream, even though we all know deep down it ain't happening. Let that sink in, Terry. So even though they know I'm right, right? Even though they know I'm right, it's tiresome. What they want to hear me say, they want me to come onto shows like this, right? And go, yeah, why can't we win the league? Yeah, of course we're in a title race. Yeah. Sorry, I've got 40 years of experience of this. This isn't my first rodeo. I'm looking at the squad. It's not deep enough, right? Look, I think we can finish fourth. People in the summer, Terry, were telling me Spurs could get relegated because Kane's gone. Now me saying fourth is negative. Let that sink in. Fourth is negative. That's where we are, man. That's where we are. So look, I'll stick by my guns. I do every season. I stick by my guns. I've been called negative. I've been called negative since Levy and co joined, Terry. I've not been wrong since. I'm. You know what you said earlier about your opinion, where you're waiting for someone to debunk it. Yeah, I'm waiting for someone to debunk this myth about Tottenham winning things. I'm waiting for that to happen.
But no, the only way that gets debunked is by fucking winning things.
But this is my point, Terry, right? This is my point. But what I get is, I get fans of other clubs, right, that will say, yes, Savva's not a deluded fan. Because I don't come on and go, yeah, we're winning. What are you talking about? A Doggy's the best left back in the league and Porro's the best right back. And basically all these fans doing a combined 11 right now and 8 Spurs players get in. And it's like, like, stop. Slow down, like, relax. I'm not telling anybody not to enjoy the ride, whatever that means, right? I'm not telling anybody not to be happy with it. But I don't think Spurs are winning a title in any way, shape, or form. I don't think we'll be anywhere near winning it at the end of the season. If I'm wrong at the end of the season, Terry, good, right? This is what I don't understand about football fans, right? Let me rant for a second. This is what I don't understand, Terry, about football fans, especially fans of your own club, right? If Savva is wrong, yeah? If Savva is wrong, and sorry, third person there. If I'm wrong, if I'm wrong and Spurs win the title or Spurs finish within 2 or 3 points of the title, I'll be happy. It's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Yeah, you were wrong. Fair play. You were wrong. Your team did really well. Brilliant. They've surpassed my expectations. Cool. But what fans will do is if I'm wrong, they'll go, so you're not really a Spurs fan. You didn't think we could finish second. Like, that's the mentality of Spurs fans. You've got one guy in your chat right now, I won't name him, who, rather than see that most of the time I'm actually right about Spurs, wants to point fingers as to, you know, this is why this Spurs fan don't want to work with you. This is why that Spurs fan don't want to work with you. Yeah? They don't want to work with me because I don't suddenly say we're winning a league after 8 games. Yeah? 8 games. 8 games, Terry. This is mental. Come and talk to me, game 30. If Spurs are there or thereabouts, I'll turn around and go, you know what? What a story. Right, cool. Go and win it.
Well, Bobby here says, if you don't think Spurs are going to win the league and Maddison is not the best player in the world, you can F off down to the Emirates.
Essentially. Essentially. Do you know what? The difference is between me and some of the younger Spurs fans, right? The difference between me and some of the younger Spurs fans, not just me, right? People of my age. I've seen Spurs start and do things like this many, many, many times, Terry. In the last 40 years, I've seen loads of false dawns, loads of false eras, right? For me, I always say context and consistency. The context is, let me explain that to you, right? The context is, have Spurs had a brilliant start, much better than anyone else ever out there in any club thought we would do? Yes. right? Yes. Consistency is a completely different subject. Can Spurs do what we've been doing consistently over 38 games? I don't believe so, because I don't believe we've got the depth. I don't believe that we've got the goal power. And I don't believe that once we get a couple of injuries, we're going to be able to cope. Hence the reason, Terry, why everyone in the last 24 hours has gone, oh my God, did anyone see Romero limping off for Argentina? Oh my God, Sonny, Klinsmann, we hate you. You played Sonny when he was clearly limping. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. We're worried.
Do you know what it is for me? Listen, I understand people being excited. At the same time, look, I've called Lee Gunner out a lot for the stuff that he gets angry at Arsenal about. Some of it, I've always said, some of the things he says I agree with. There's some of the things that he does that I find hilariously weird, because sometimes he's angry about things that are just not worth being angry about. And there are times, and I've bantered him on it, where I'm like, you don't even seem happy that you've won. There are also times where I show, like, he is happy and I show people, and I sometimes think he can be misunderstood. And I think there's so many people that are desperate to be right. There's so many people that want to be right more than they just want to talk football. And I think, again, I think it's about the era you grew up in. And I genuinely mean that. When you grew up as a kid at school, everybody had a say on football, in the classroom, in the playground, in your football team. Yeah. Sometimes you were right, sometimes you were wrong, but you were never ostracized from speaking about it. I think there's been this weird, but it doesn't exist, by the way. It's like theoretical hierarchy that's been created where if I get an opinion wrong, no one's going to listen to my opinions anymore. It's not true. It's not true that happens, because my favorite content creators I watch, Mark, Rants, True Geordie. I don't watch them as much anymore, but I used to watch True Geordie. Who else do I watch? And I sit there and watch their shows. I watch The Club quite regularly. I like Roy Jennings, actually. I find Roy Jennings funny. Right?
I find him funny. I find his opinions are awful, but he is funny to watch. Yeah,
I find him funny. But the thing is that they haven't regressed because they get things wrong. They've got loads wrong. They've got loads right, but they've got loads wrong, and it's not a big deal. Cal here, one of our members, said it before, the subs against Luton show that the depth is nowhere near title race material. Obviously, Ange is only in the job 10 weeks. But they are talking 3 or 4 windows of constant back into B. There is what Cal says, one of our members who's a Spurs fan there.
Bang on. Can I just quickly add on from that? Just really quickly.
Yeah,
sorry. Listen, absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, I really like what's going on at Spurs. People misconstrue me saying I don't think we're going to win a title to am I happy? I'm really happy with what's going on. I wanted Postecoglou. When we talked off air, Terry, and I was telling you about certain people that were saying during the summer, oh, Postecoglou, he's from Celtic. Oh, we don't want him. What's he ever done? These are the people that are now knocking me for not being positive enough. There's a difference between being positive and there's a difference between looking at all the variables, right? And someone made a great point in your chat ages ago. Chelsea have got 12 injuries right now, right? 12 injuries, and look at the hate they've been getting from fans. This, that, the other. Imagine Spurs had 12 injuries. Just imagine we had 12 injuries, Terry. We would be so far down the bottom of the table. And this is it in football. This is it. At the moment, we've got a fit squad in terms of the better players, all fit. All it takes, 2 or 3 knocks, all of a sudden, that 11, now all of a sudden you go, oh, God, hang on. 4 or 5 of our first team aren't playing. You're now playing Ollie Skip again. Yeah, you're now playing Ben Davis, Eric Dyer, Emerson Royale. So I keep myself level-headed. Do I want to dream? I'll dream when we get to a point where we should be dreaming. I'm not dreaming after 8 games of a football season. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So things are going well, but that comment was absolutely spot on. Sorry.
That's fine, mate. Aya here says, Sava, you bring forward empirical arguments whilst they are having emotional ones. Yeah. An argument will never go anywhere when it's objectivity versus subjectivity. The problem is, though, I'd never done this before because I don't claim or believe I'm smarter than the average bear. I really don't. When we talked about referees the other day, I Google searched, and I'll do it again now, subjectivity versus objectivity. Because I just want to see if there's anything written down that like kind of breaks down the difference between the two. I kind of know what the meaning of the two is, but I wanted to like understand in a more concise way. And what I found was this, right? And it made more sense to me. It was like based on opinions, beliefs, and feelings is what subjectivity is. But objectivity is based on facts and measurable data. So as you say, we can all be subjective and emotional about things and led by that. But if you allow facts and the history to impact, to not guide you, you're always going to end up, we'll always be wrong. In my personal opinion,
because it's too much of that, Terry, and not that.
Invariably. And the reason I say that is because the measurable data around objectivity, and I was looking for a very simple way to understand it because I was just trying to get something into my head. It was about refereeing decisions and that most subjective decisions are actually objective, because if 8 players are sent off, if 10 players make a bad tackle that are very similar and 9 have been sent off, you get to a point where subjectivity becomes irrelevant because those tackles are always red cards. It becomes an objective decision because of the amount of those tackles that are red cards. And that's my point here. If Spurs have been in this position many times and continue to foul, you have to be more objective than subjective unless you can present multiple facts and data that outweigh all the previous ones. And that's what, again, and we don't all do that. We all
stop being grown up about it. Stop being grown up about it, Terry.
But this is why Sav, last year when I was saying I think Arsenal are going to improve, I was basing it on all these differences that I was seeing from a 6-month this reason, that reason, the other. I think this is different now, and this is the blah blah blah, right down to how they were operating as a club. I was saying, look, they're renewing all the contracts of their star players for 15 years. They've let all their good players go. Now suddenly they're getting big deals that are valued at the same amount of money as all the other big clubs are doing. That in itself was like they're behaving differently. Therefore, I think there's going to be a change on the pitch because how you operate off the pitch changes how you behave on the pitch. And that's been the same forever. And that's the thing for me. If you're going to be subjective, and I've got a new opinion, but that it still has to be based on factual information, in my view, generally speaking.
Can I sum it up for you, right? Have a look, right? For example, bearing in mind, I've supported Spurs for 40 years, followed them around the world, season tickets, whatever, this, that, the other, got a channel that is based around Tottenham Hotspur. And you think there's somebody else that says, Sava, if you win the title, I don't want you celebrating. Now, let that sink in. Let that sink in. That's where we're at in 2023 of football fans. That if you don't think you're going to win a title and you do, you can't celebrate because one troll said, like, let that sink in, Terry. That's mad. Right? At the beginning of the season, if I can ask a question to all your chat, I'd love to just get an opinion. Can everyone please put in the chat right now, at the beginning of the season, so before a single ball was kicked, right? What position, be truthful with this, don't just say bottom just because it's banter. Be truthful. What position did you have Spurs down as finishing this season? Right? And now where do you have them finishing? So put the first one, like say 10th and 5th, whatever it might be, right? So for me, I said I think Spurs will finish anywhere between 5th and 10th, depending on what the club do in the January transfer window and keeping everybody fit, right? For me, have I pivoted slightly from that? I think we'll finish anywhere now between 4th and 7th, but with the same caveat, Terry. It's all about what we do in January and keeping everybody fit and healthy, and suspensions and African Cup of Nations and Sonny going to the Asian Cup. All of these different things play a factor that I try and meddle in. I understand there are people that are not old enough or mature enough to factor those types of things in. I understand that they think that if you are a football fan that doesn't just blindly say Spurs are the best, Spurs winning the league, that you're pessimistic. I understand. I was that immature when I was 12 as well. I understand that. I understand they were the arguments I was having in the playground, Terry. When my mates were going, Spurs are rubbish, I go, we're the best team in the league, even though we were finishing 11th every season, right? At the end of the day, I want my club to win everything. I've always wanted my club to win everything. Me not thinking they will win everything is different. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example, Terry, right? for these people that aren't very intelligent, right? They're not. I'll call them out. I'll call them out. You're Tottenham man them in the chat, like, oh, stop being a victim. No victim. If there are children, I'm going to explain things to them, right? When I play the lottery, do I want to win the lottery, Terry? Do I want to win, what is it? Last night was 57 million or whatever it was on the Euros. Do I want to win it?
Probably.
Right. I want to win it. I can tell you 100% I want to win it. Do I put my money on and go, I'm winning this? Do I put my money on and go, I've won this? I have won this, right? Does that mean then that if I do win the lottery, I turn around and go, oh, sorry to my wife, sorry, babe, I'm not allowed to spend any of this money because I didn't believe I was going to win it? What madness is this? I want my team to win every.
Do you know what happens? You'll have, and you'll get this with every fan base. There are some that just want to feel the excitement of everybody bigging them up.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're, oh yeah, we can do it. And then rivals love it because they're like, oh, we get to cook you if it goes wrong.
Exactly.
You are rival fans' worst nightmare at this moment in time because you're not hyping Spurs, which means they can't come for you if and when it goes wrong. The same as when it does go wrong. No one will we've got to a point now where there is a very small percentage of people that don't want to hear why it went wrong. They just want to hear you say, my club is in the mud, my club is crap, sack my manager, and have a meltdown. They don't want to hear why it went wrong, the reasons for it, how you can improve. But this is what you got to remember. 95% of the viewers agree with you.